apologize. I was wrong.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Ah, there he is. There he is. Derrick, what's up, my brother? Good evening,
Same here.
everybody. Welcome to Senate. A Thursday. So, I'm your host, Neil Hoyt, joined by your other host, Derrick Marshall. And yeah, so what are we doing here on a Thursday, Derrick? Where are we here?
Well,
Why have we decided of this podcast on a Thursday? And why did we start with this particular topic?
we started on Monday. We start every Monday with a talk, and we went into it on Tuesday, but I didn't feel like if we exhausted the topic, and then we had the whole Derrick Jaxn situation pop up over the weekend, and I felt like it would be prudent to really
times. I would say 9 times.
examine it a little further, and really because it's a hot topic. We were toying with the idea of doing a Thursday show, and what a better time to start than with this, you know what I mean? Look at Justin in the chat already. Black men don't cheat.
No. Well, so first things first, how's your week going, man? We do we got a routine going on. First things first, you know how to do. You gotta plug your group for anybody new to the chat or anything like that, new to the live. Tell us, for the first 15 minutes, you heard some beautiful music from the Caribbean's premier a cappella group, which is founded, spearheaded by Derrick Marshall, my co-host. And what we normally do here is he does his plug to let everybody know how, where, and what is going on with G Syndicate.
Yeah, man. G Syndicate. We are back in studio again as much as we can, as is physically possible, given COVID protocols and all that. And we're working on a new project to come out in the next couple of weeks. You can find all of our current music so far. We released a song "Woman" for International Women's Day at the beginning of the month, and you can find that SoundCloud on YouTube. All our music, all our social media platforms are G Syndicate 6. So that's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, right here on Facebook where we are, YouTube, and of course we have gsyndicate6.com. Shout out all the guys in G Syndicate: Keel, Mal, Vaden, Mark, Brett, and Antonio. Yeah, we hoping to do some great things going forward as we head or come out of what this might be. We call this our second wave of the COVID-19 thing. Yep. Hopefully we don't get a third.
Can't afford a third.
I don't think we could afford a third. So yeah, we pushing forward, hoping to get back to some sense of normalcy. What's going on with you, my brother?
Well, this week is, I would say the week is improving. Got my hair done. Trying to know a little style here, so with some color and some curls. Got on my Black King shirt because I'm feeling myself today. This is the first time. Just so you all don't feel that it's only there. This is literally the Senex uniform. Anyhow, we will get into that another time. But yeah, Black King in effect. The week is getting better. Just doing the healing process, going through steps and everything like that. Definitely in a better space today than it was on Thursday. How about you, man? How's your week looking? I know that your profession and everything like that would have you kind of a little occupied and everything like that.
Well, a little cautious of having to return to the physical plant. Interestingly enough, I want to return to the physical plant, but still a little apprehensive about it in terms of everything that's going on in terms of COVID and all that. We're supposed to be getting the vaccinations tomorrow for teachers, so we got to see how that goes because there's a lot of teachers on one day. So I expect that would be a very tedious process. When I leave here in the morning, roll my folding chair, make sure all my devices are charged, and probably a little snack to eat something.
Yeah. So that's something all this. Yeah. All right, my brother. Derrick Jaxn.
Yeah,
Let
Derek.
me let me first things first. Let's okay. Let's frame this. Let's frame this. Let's because I don't want people to feel that we just pulled Derrick Jaxn out of thin air. For those of you that joined us for the first time or didn't have an opportunity to join us on Tuesday, basically what we spoke about on Tuesday was infidelity in relationships and everything that that encompasses. Derek and I spoke at length about. It really was about can you forgive infidelity, and is infidelity something that your partner may be responsible for, right? And this misnomer that because myself and Derek on this platform, we are very open, we are very honest. We are two young men that we have been through the good and bad of life, right? So having said that, we obviously would have spoken about very briefly about is having unfaithfulness happen to us. People in the chat was talking about it and everything like that. You know, we were talking about the context of your partner's role in your infidelity. A lot of people, specifically women, believe that if the man step out, regardless of what he's doing and how he's doing it, that's his business. Some people are of the school of thought that, in most cases, when your partner cheats emotionally or physically, it has to do with a misalignment in your relationship or marriage. So that was an interesting discussion. And while that was going on, Derrick Jaxn, who is a relationship guru, he speaks a lot about relationships, particularly from the context of women. And he speaks about it's more of like I would say it's more relationship and empowerment, trying to encourage women to not settle for less, settle for the essentially the I don't want to say brokenness, but the issues that men have in relationships, whether it be infidelity, not treating their partner well, not speaking life into them, not showing them life, not speaking to their love languages, the whole gamut of it, right? He's been very critical of black men. He's been very critical of, he's never been critical of women, and he's always been critical of black men. Now, in the intro role that we would have shown some clips of him speaking about, for example, him saying that, you know, women deserve, if he's not treating you right or treating you how you are being treated, you have all right to kick him to the curb. He's a scrub. No woman should have to put up with not being valued because another man like give her up and let another man value her. It's a whole bunch of things, and we found it funny because it has come to light that my mom has been unfaithful this entire time. I actually don't even know the details. I can let you speak to that in a moment because I still trying to clear catch up. I know that he has been unfaithful, but from what I've seen so far, which is the video of him and his wife, and some of the supplementary videos for that, I'm wondering if it is he has cheated him and his wife worked through, or if this he just put it on up front and more things coming to light. So I can kick it over to you, my brother. Kind of put we are with there.
All right, so yeah, I had to do a little bit of digging. Tell you I like to do my research and really come prepared with this stuff. So I see the ladies in the chat saying that he just rinse off men. That's and then Jackie, that was Keitha, and Jackie is saying he just dry men. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
that is very, very true. You would have seen that in the intro video that we had. So let me just give you a little bit of a breakdown. So apparently he's been with his wife for at least 14 years. At least 14 years. And they got married only in 2018. Right?
Okay.
Good. But apparently it seems as if he's been cheating on her even before, right? Um, so they got married in 2018, I think around August or so. So we fast forward to 2019, July 2019. His wife gave him a birthday trip, right?
Okay.
To Dubai of all places, right? They went
Whoa.
out, rode some ATVs and stuff like that. Took a lot of pictures. It was all nice and good.
Mm-hmm.
That's July. The next month, the August, he met a girl called Lene.
Jeez,
Ironic.
you got else. Okay.
Yeah. I had to do a little digging. Um, Interestingly enough, she was going through a breakup, a rough patch in her own relationship, and she reached out to him for a little bit of help, guidance, assistance, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So she slid in his DM, and you know, the restarts in the DM apparently, and they ended up having a little bit of a thing, and he even went so far as to tell her that his wife was not fulfilling his bedroom, right? That.
Wait. You broke up there a bit. So try repeat that for the people. So
Right.
that
So
because I didn't hear that.
they ended up being in a relationship. She approached him to get relationship advice and ended up in a relationship with him. And he kind of easy line that, you know, yes, he's married, but his he and his wife aren't together, or they're going through a little bit of problems. You know, that's generally how it goes. He even told this particular lady that his wife was not fulfilling his sexual needs, right? Or at least not in a satisfactory way. So that's 2019. They got married in 2018. 2019, the trouble starts, right? So fast forward to February 2020, last year, he and the wife separate, and this is according to him, huh? So we're gonna take this one with a little pinch of salt, right? He and the wife separated, which means that the relationship guru, he and his wife lasted a grand total of 2 years, right? So at this point, I started to do, you know, if you got this woman all this time and you don't intend to make any changes, why go forward? Why decide to marry this woman? And I started to think maybe it's a case of her bankrolling him, um, you know, because if she's taking him to trips like Dubai and stuff like that, it may be a case that she was bankrolling whatever he had going on in terms of his own personal brand and how that was developing, and the lifestyle that he wanted to live until his brand got established fully, that he was the guy to really kind of like lead the way in the relationship. Because the wife, let's not lose sight of the fact that the wife is a very Christian minded person. All the IG posts and stuff she
Right.
posted, even in the aftermath of this whole scandal, and this is an ongoing thing apparently, even the aftermath of this, it's all about Jesus and no weapon that's formed against me, and you know, marriage and all this stuff. Yeah, all of that. Um, and she's pushing that rhetoric and that narrative, even in the face of this stuff, right? Um, so that's February 2020. In July 2020, right? It just gave you a bit of a timeline, so you can kind of get your thoughts together within the chat so that you can put your questions out there or whatever, and we can bring them
Chat
together. You know what I mean?
have no questions but pure comments, and it's
You right?
yeah.
So
The man here ripping up Derrick, Jaxn.
yeah, please put on the Jackson, please. So it's July 2020. He flies out this girl Candice to Miami for his birthday. According to him, he and the wife have been separated since February, and then in the August, he flew her down to Atlanta. He claimed that he and this woman had no kind of sexual interaction. That's what he said on Sunday. Gone on Monday, he said that yes, it was a case. Everybody sees the video where he had the wife's hand gripped up, holding, like he didn't. Like he was expecting her to run. Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looked like he was expecting her to run.
Yeah.
It looked like he was expecting her to
Magic.
just take off at any moment. So he was like, you know what, let me just hold on to you and make sure that you in place. So yeah, he that went down. He flew her out to Atlanta. This girl, she thought, it seems that the stories about the wife moving out were actually true, because when she went to his house, yes, she went to his house and his bed. She saw the boxes and stuff like that packed up in the house. The challenge with this is that the boxes were not because the wife was moving out, but they were actually moving in. They were actually he had bought this house. He and the wife, they were actually moving into this house. So that's where the boxes and stuff were packed up around the house, right? Yeah, so after, and then everybody say he posted it on social media, posted the wife, because all this went down in July, August, and then he posted the wife talking about marriage and stuff like that. First time ever he posted the wife. So to kind of solidify his relationship, right? That was August. That was July, August. He blocked her after he realized that, this thing wasn't going how he wanted it to go. He blocked the girl. So then the girl was like, "Oh hell no, you ain't blocking me. That can't work."
Or
So girlfriend went to the gossip blogs and stuff like that. Tasha K. She went to Tasha K. And she had her receipts. She had the pictures of when she was in the house. The pictures of him in the house with her. She just offloaded the receipts. You know what I mean? All right, cool. It's August 2020.
right.
In October 2020, there's a third woman. So there's a third woman that just appears now. And apparently she is the current mistress. I'm going to say current. I don't know if the relationship has dissolved since the whole thing. But there's the current mistress now. Apparently she's a surgeon. My guy rolled up on her real smooth and stuff at the mall. And I was like, hey, he didn't even use his full name. He called himself D as opposed to Derrick. They had a relationship. Apparently she didn't know at first that he was married. They had a relationship, and I'll let you put together some things. But it seems like if she got pregnant, and she got pregnant, she was talking about getting rid of of terminating it, and he was saying that he was not in favor of it. But given all that we've seen from this guy so far, it's pretty easy to say that was just talk, because I fail to see how a guy who has a wife at home, who has two children for him, by the way.
I was just about to say, you have forgotten a very crucial part
Right.
of this story.
She has
Two children.
She has two children for him. I fail to see how a guy who has a wife and children at home is going to encourage
A very public brand.
yeah, and a very public brand, especially in what his brand is associated with. Because it's one thing if you are, let me say, a high profile sportsman or whatever, and you go there and you just sowing your wild oats all over the place, that's one thing. Or if you just the man in the street and you just running around doing your thing. But when you are the, the this bastion of all that is right and virtuous, and then you decide, you know what, hey, I got to say baby, but hey, keep it for me. So I think what really happened was she brought up the idea of terminating this pregnancy, and he was like, without wanting to seem too eager about it, he was like, let's have a discussion about it first, because this is something I really like to do. I'm trying for us to pursue a relationship together, stuff like that. Girlfriend was like, you know what, this is really fitting in with my life, my timeline, my life right now. Nah, I will do what I have to do on my own and get rid of it. The funny thing about this is that somebody, I think that's on Tuesday, that we see him recording videos in his car, and you wonder if he's on the way to or coming from an escapade, right? Apparently, some of the videos he films in his car were done outside this girl's house. So this stuff, right? Like this dude is special. You know what I mean?
So where to start? No.
Hold on, before you start, let me just get this last bit out. When the whole thing, when the first two mistresses came forward and started to talk and spilled their beans, my guy went to the current mistress now. He was like, you know what? If anybody comes to you looking for a story, whatever, just don't entertain it. And he tried order on her, but she had already seen what was going on. She had already gone and spilled her tea. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
all the business scatter out in the road, and yeah, he is left now to pick up the pieces.
But no, this is my thing, right? First things first, let me acknowledge all the people that are commenting. Everybody's pretty much dragging Derrick, Derrick Jaxn.
Jackson, Jackson.
Uh, yeah, yeah. A lot of people saying Nick. I'm saying a lot of new names. I hope that all of these new names that coming in here to drag the man have followed, liked our
Correct.
podcast.
Please do
We'll
that.
come
Please do that.
next Tuesday because this ain't a gossip channel. This ain't a
It's
gossip
not.
podcast.
It's not.
There's always, always, always a tie back into being the better person, be the better you, right? So I wanna I can be checking. Anyhow,
Don't come for the tea.
yeah, good night to all the people that have joined us for the first time, those that are our usual followers that have joined us. But I really want to talk about something, right? Because my problem with him is not that he cheated, right? My problem with him is not because let's be honest, right? We talked about this. We've talked about this for years about athletes and celebrities, particularly people that are thrusted into a spotlight of fame and fortune and haven't been there before, or have exceeded their wildest dreams in terms of success. Right? That it is very hard. You just get caught up. Let me be honest. Right? The man in the ball looking man, the man's work out, man's carry himself certain sort of way, and the man is
Yes,
viewed
he's
by a lot
six
of people.
five and 6'5" and jacked.
Oh, he's six
Six
five. Oh, well,
6'5" and jacked.
all right, good. So the man is pretty much what a woman would want anyhow. When you go by the basic stipulation, the sorry, not the basic, but the common stipulation of most women, right? Tall, dark, handsome, jacked, um, claiming to have certain Christian values, seemingly understanding how a relationship should work and how to treat a woman, a queen. So within that regard, it would be very, very hard to say that you ain't gonna get offers. Be honest, depending on the situation you find yourself in, you're flying out, you're going all over the place. Something may happen. You know what I mean? I don't agree with bringing a body at your house that you share with your wife, and nah,
I've
that's
always said for
like
years that that's grounds for a murder charge.
murder
Uh,
charge. If I can
I figure
find a
if
woman
you're
for
gonna do that kind of
daddy,
stuff, do that kind of stuff on your own dime and time. So don't drive your woman's car to go on a boy else, or
brother
drive both
man,
people in your woman's car because
okay.
them is grounds to get chopper.
Listen, I am a simple man. If you drive my car to go to another man, that's all right. If you have sex in my gallery with another man, that's all right. If you have sex in my living room with another man, I will work through it. But if I come home and find you on my sheets and with the pillow that is hug up, my day going to that. You like to say,
Yeah, booty club his
right?
house.
Right? My hug up pillow there in between two of them, right? And all the sweat and juice. I can, I
Yeah.
can, I can snap, dog. I can snap. In that moment, I thinking, suppose it's in the first time. How many times I
Yeah.
lay down in this man's sperm? How many times this man disrespect me on the pillar I hug up? I got a hug up pillar. I just let everybody know that's my business. I got a hug up pillar, right? I will lose it. I will lose it. So my problem here with Derrick though, but Derrick Jaxn, is that I believe in holding yourself not only accountable, but being honest with the people. So you're a relationship guru. Well, shoot, look at what we're doing. You know, people have said to us, it's not as many as obviously Derrick Jaxn, but people have said that we are relationship gurus, and we find it kind of funny because really and truly, we are two men that have made mistakes, have been done dirty, and things have happened, and we still here. You know what I mean? Like we never claim to not cheat. We ain't telling men or women not to cheat or whatever things has happened. We saying, you know what, be vigilant, be mindful, and be honest, be accountable. Look to better yourself, right? We ain't telling people to do one thing or the other. The point is, we want people to be the best they can be at all times. This is so I liken this journey as Christianity. And the way I see Christianity is that there's a path to God that you walk. And sometimes you fall off the path, you step off the path, you tell little lies, you may have certain thoughts, you may have certain indiscretions, but the goal is to maintain your footsteps on that path. Just like life. for anything. As a man, my goal is to maintain my step on this path of life. Yes, you can look to the left, you may see some beautiful women. On the right, you may see some vices, you may see some opportunities that are not healthy and beneficial to you. But you have to try your best to stay on the path. And if you do veer off the path, try to get back on and forgive yourself. Derrick Jaxn comes in as if he is the voice of what a woman wants, right? He is the only black man in the world that believes and that he thinks the way he thinks. Women, he treats them like queens. He puts them on pedestals. He knows to value and honor them. He knows that cheating is reprehensible. He knows that you have to water your relationship, garden your relationship, submit to your queen as well as lead your queen. He comes and because I used to listen about a few years ago, and his videos were circulating first, and I listened to him, and I was like, okay, I took those videos, those episodes in that context and said, okay, maybe this edition or this topic or whatever is speaking toward women. But as time went on, I saw that he never, ever, ever speaks to. As a matter of fact, there have been times videos have come out where women were at fault or women would have been not, have veered off the path. And he was kind of defending those women and saying, a woman has the right to do this and that or whatever. If you really want to get on that line, everybody has the right to do it if we're going down that context. The point is within the frame of
Yeah, man, I saw him.
Yeah, I just had a call. Right, sorry. But yeah, you can't be coming in, and I am very wary of these sort of things because anytime I speak on things, good or bad, if somebody does well, right or wrong or whatever, I always say, you know what? I don't know this person's story. I don't know where they're coming from. But you can't put yourself on a pedestal. You can't claim to be women deserve better, and why you running about behind a man that ain't got himself together and he not taking care of himself and he not valuing you and he running around in the streets like he's still young. And you out there doing dirt though. And not only that you're doing dirt, but you are doing, and you know what? I said I was going to talk about this because I blame the women as well, right? Because
You touched on accountability, and I really wanted to circle back to that, right? Because, yeah, he's accountable for what he's doing, but ladies, the ladies in these situations, two of them for sure knew that he was married. One of them reached out to him for advice on her own relationship. You get me? So she's aware of his relationship. She's aware of the fact that, well, he got somebody. Yeah? Shoot. The first girl, she actually had somebody. She was in a relationship when she reached out to him. At what point do we say, hey, if you didn't approach your man, he couldn't really get the viscosity, you know what I mean? The third lady, the current mistress, no, her situation is a little different because he actually said to her, right? But the first two, but the first one for certain, she reached out. So, yeah, we're looking at it from the point of view of him being a predator and using his platform to lure in women because that's what it is. We call a thing a thing.
You saying
We call a thing
women
a
and
thing.
money?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
he's telling women what they want to hear to make money and to lure them in for sexual. I don't want to say favors because that might be a little misleading, but for his own sexual pleasure, right?
Right.
That's what it is. It's called a thing, right? I ain't knocking at my hustle, but here's the real challenge, right now. The stuff that he said over these years has done irreparable damage to the male female dynamic, particularly in the black community. You know what I mean? It has done significant damage, right? Um, yeah, women, you are queens. You are above and beyond reproach. Men are dogs and unworthy of you. At what point do we look at the relationship and say, hey, it takes both parties to have some kind of to be accountable within the framework of a relationship? Or people say, oh, it takes two hands to clap. It takes two hands to clap. So it can be a case of, oh, men are dogs and women are blameless. To say that would be foolhardy. So I wonder at what point do we really look at, well, I wonder if Mr. Jackson was comfortable being judged by the standards under which he judged other black men. That's what I really want to know.
But no. What pisses me off here, though, what really grinds my gears is not that he essentially took up the mantle of speaking for black men in relationships and betraying what he has perpetuated. You know what I mean? In terms of saying be more like me, but he became our unofficial shining example, but the shining example was never shining, right?
Yeah.
What
As
pisses
opposed
me
to a
off
knight in shining armor, he's just a dude in tinfoil.
exactly, as I love that, and what pisses me off here is that he, in his accountability, he is essentially milking his 15 minutes of fame for clicks, views, and monetary compensation. Now, he did the video with his wife. If you take that by itself, okay, fine, sure, okay, whatever that is. I mean, it looked kind of, it was strange, but
To say the
you know
least.
what? They had each other grip up and everything like that. But people were saying to me, it looked like either she was in support or she was in support of the brand. Regardless, she was in support, right? It didn't look like the man was coercing her or forcing her to do the video. But when you hear the aftermath, where he does a live Q&A with the wife afterward, and then she does a Q&A live some days later, and he does a live some days later, and then he does a response video as he normally does to his own video,
Home video.
kind of saying things like, it looks like this and that and next, but you know what? He commends his wife because his wife is still there.
I
I
referring to
am
himself
this
in the third person.
I am disgusted. And not only that, the thing is, I don't even mind him referring to himself in the third person there. The point is that if I were doing that to myself and referring to myself, I would be saying, okay, this is messed up. Neil did this, Neil did that. Neil put his wife in a compromising position, an unsafe position, bringing women into the house and whatever like that. But the way he's coming over is like, you know what? The man has balls. The man got on social media and he faced the world with his wife to show that he is flawed and human and that he never said this. I think in one of the videos he threw God or Jesus under the bus. Like he
Not one
is
of
he
all.
he
All.
is he is disgusting. He is disgusting, and it pisses me off because so in the dynamic of men and women, right? We have somehow both men and women. We have looked to TV and video and certain videos to dictate how relationships should be. So the women like the Notebook, the women like Notting Hill, the women like Grey's Anatomy, they like all of that. Men like whatever they like that shows women being either willing to be submissive or doting wives. We love that sort of dynamic, right? That's what we get from these media. But the problem is that the nitty gritty of it and the daily ins and outs of life is not that bed of roses. Daily, you will have struggles within yourself, within your marriage, within your job, as a parent, as a son, daughter, you have struggles. And we all make decisions. Some of these decisions are poor. And some of these decisions lead us into doing things that put people at jeopardy, whether it be emotionally, physically, or whatever. The point is that this should have been an example of Derrick Jaxn being a relationship guru, holding both men and women accountable, his dirt coming up, him standing up with his wife and saying, look, this is exactly what I was telling y'all. Nobody is perfect. If he really wants to delve into why he left and stepped out on his wife, he can get into that. But the point is that he could have used this as an example to show that this process, life, is a trial and error thing. None of me got a book. None of me all we know we got societal norms and standards, but at the end of the day, we still buck them and still do our own thing. right? We still hurt people. We still hurt each other. We still get depressed. We still get disappointed, right? We still misalign with people. And the point is that I hate the fact that he put himself as the front runner and person for black men in relationships, empowering women and queens and telling women almost like it's like he was saying what they wanted to hear, feeding into what they see on social media and in movies and in television and whatever, and then doing all the dirt in the background. And now some women probably looking at, well, shoot, if Derrick Jaxn could fall from grace. I remember when my grandmother, right? I remember back in the day, my grandmother every Sunday used to wake up and cry with Jimmy Swaggart. Every Sunday, Jimmy Swaggart would take off his glasses. Oh God, forgive me, I've sinned. My grandmother would take off her glasses too and cry same way, right? Then it came to light that Jimmy Swaggart was doing all the dirt with the prostitutes and doing all these things and all sorts of things. My grandmother was crushed. At first, my grandmother was like, they're trying to mess up my mind. That ain't true, whatever, whatever. But when the evidence was irrefutable, she was devastated. Mm-hmm. And it probably made her look at pastors and televangelists in a different way. And my point is that you have to be careful, men and women, what we think a relationship should be.
I
a relationship ain't a bed of roses. It is work, constant work, daily
facts. We gotta get the God a relationship with, but the Bible is something totally different. And I think we really need to on that relationship. The Bible said, because the Bible can be interpreted and used however you want to twist it, especially if you're good enough to twist it. But throughout this whole saga over the past couple of days, one piece of scripture kept coming to me, right? One piece of scripture kept coming to me, and my boy Chris messaged me this evening, and he said, "You know I'm going to quote this. Psalm 146 verse 3. Oh, put not your trust in princes, nor in any child of man, for there is no help in them." Stop. And I saw Shula King said the same thing, but not so eloquently, only yesterday, right? When he was talking, he gave his take on this whole thing. Stop following relationship advice from these extraneous people. Think for yourself. Assess a situation for yourself. Right? We come here, we could only give you the advice and stuff like that. But when you can start looking up to people as a deity, that's a different kettle of fish.
And that's the thing. I don't want nobody looking up at me, right? Because this platform is also, as much as I want to dispense advice and dispense some of the experiences we would have had and the mistakes and heartbreaks that we would have had, still learning as well. I am still willing to learn, because the day I stop learning as a man, as an adult, and I close my eyes, you stop learning. So for me, I don't want nobody to look up at me. I don't want nobody to see me and say, "Oh, I want to be like me." Sure, if you want to dress like me, or if you want to think like me, you want to take certain things, that is fine. But we had this conversation a few weeks ago in our own group, where it is like you going in a supermarket and every brand you pick up, they got 20 different brands of macaroni. You're taking it all. You can take up Kraft, all right? You go down the aisle, you see spices. You can take up a country boy, all right? You go down the road and you see some cheese. You may take an Anchor, you may take a government cheese. You may take the more expensive imported cheese. The point is that we are not here to have men, women, anybody to adorn us. We are flawed. That is the whole point of this exercise. We want to be better men. We want men to be better men. We want women to be better women. We want to I don't want to be an example for nobody. I just want to be a conduit to dispense information and start conversations, talking to people, understanding that this relationship thing and this life thing ain't as cut and dry as I love you, marry me, let me skip in a bed of roses and get 2 children and dead to get in a rocking chair. There are gaps, decades in between. So
yeah, let me get up in the comment section a little bit. Keitha, he just rinsed off the mayor murder. Tony is here for the cackles about him. She talks about let me get his name right. Lenai, Candice, and then the surgeon. That would be Nikki.
Only join them.
We got Anastasia.
I want to hit Keek anyhow.
He knows why he doesn't drag women because he probably beds most of them. Oh boy. Tony Spolte, what he knows is a lifetime cheater. Michelle is saying, wait, all this happened before 2021. Mercy. Tony, and he knew I flirted with Candice for 10 years. That's a fact. He said so himself. But although we got to take what he sees in the picture. So Anastasia, and for her to say no weapon formed against them, it was like the weapon is your husband, boom. So true. Dion, this is a whole soap opera. Jackie, I was about to say this is a soap opera. Good night, Tara. Tony, the surgeon is done with him. She spilled her tea. Action Jackson served her with a gag order a couple of days after she had already talked. Yes. Jackie Maz put his own self on a pedestal. So true. Zoe Edie, the Maz sick. Yeah. Jackie, don't forget the man was pushing his boat all the way. Yes. This dude used his apologies to peddle even more hardware to you ladies. Gotta love it. Natalia, I hope so. Not just us regulars. Shout out Natalia. She's be here every time. Big ups all the time. Natalia 6'5" in medium shirts. Stoops do.
Don't knock this medium shirts, babe.
Don't knock this medium shirts,
babe. Don't knock this medium shirts, babe. 6'5" and medium. And are you all right?
Yeah, that's right. Neil, we host there. Tony, all the sweat, juice, laughing out loud. Essentially, Blair, he set himself up as a gold standard. Indeed, he did. The Panda Bear, he was simply playing into their biases for financial gain. He ain't feeling for him. Tony, his videos were always off-putting, honestly. A pretty face that spent a lot of time shouting and talking down to people. I was never sure who fell down and told this man his opinions were the end all and be all of women's needs. I told him that. Clearly, a lot of them even fell in his bed. So he has a reason to think that what he's saying is valid. Romel, preach. Man, come, I really did some shit. Amen. From Blino, the first woman wasn't in a relationship. According to her, she was going through a breakup. I reached out to him. Potato. There's a matter of inches. Blair, he can't be comfortable. He won't pooping soft. Keith is speaking in the third person too. Dion says clicks make money, and this is so true. Clicks make money. That is why have an apology video on Sunday. Then he took that down, did an apology video with his wife on Monday. Then he did a reaction to his own apology on Tuesday. It's like the police investigating themselves. Saying, hey, we did the investigation and we found nothing wrong with what we did in our first investigation. So, yeah, this dude. Tony is saying the king of third person. Natalia, I said before and I will say again, God is not the author of confusion. Which God he mean? I know a choir director that told his choir that, told a lady who wanted to join his choir that God is not the author of confusion and therefore she should not be a part of the choir, but that's another story for another time. Dion, I think our problem is that we want people to act how we think they should act. The man is doing for him. No press, no click, whether like or dislike is bad for someone like him. So true. Narcissistic, says Dion. Blair, he could have handled this so much better, but the thing is, he started wrong, so he get ain't wrong. Yeah. Steve, swaggy man. Natalia, all the advice he has been advice in inverted commas he has been spewing all these years. He's the same wife. She deserves a sun, moon, and stars too. We can get to that in a little bit. Swagger says, Tony, no one is infallible, period. You got to get rid of this couple's goals crap too. I think as Keitha said that. And Natalia says, please and thanks. I think I missed that somewhere further up. Let me see. Let me get some more of these comments though.
I see. Right, Natalia saying please and thanks. Tony, she said correct randoms on the internet or whatever or wherever with the expectation that they will give you the best guidance in life. Philip Burke, man, is a whole meme now. And he's laughing. Gold Philip Burke was again seriously though, this whole situation could have been avoided if he had did it privately, but he wanted to be seen. So here we are. Yes, Philip, because clicks and views is money.
Money, as
he
Dion said earlier.
He is going to he is gonna milk this for every cent and every view he could get. Tonya Seeley, thanks for joining us, Tonya. Miss Tuesday. He never came across him on Facebook in a sponsored ad, and it was like, it's okay, I'm good. He was too intense, and it looked like performing, so I never followed. For me, I never thought it was performing. I get weary when I hear content from people and I'm only hearing. So it's like the news, for example. When you listen to Fox News, all you're hearing is about the bad that the Democrats do. When you listen to CNN, you're only hearing about the bad that the Republicans do. At some point, you got to wonder to yourself, what's the other side of the
Yeah.
story, kind of thing, right?
Where is
I
the
have no
happy
problem.
medium?
Yes, I have no problem in you being critical of a group of people periodically, but it can't be every video, every um, piece of content you're responding to and reviewing. You are being critical of men, and even in some cases, sticking up for the women. Like I remember a few weeks ago, we had an episode about social media and relationships versus relationships. And there was this video you had sent me where a woman had done the silhouette challenge and her boyfriend found out about it and was like, yeah, you didn't consult me or you didn't tell me or anything like that. Right. And we talked about it at length about how when you're in a relationship, these are the things you have to kind of factor in and you can't just go out there and post your body half naked in a silhouette and stuff like that. If you got a partner, you still have to consider them. How would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the same Derrick Jaxn got and said that the woman is entitled to do what she wants because it is her body and he is the problem. If he has to have if he has a problem with it, if you understand, if he's calling for her to take it down or to be consulted, he is the problem because he does not own dominion over the woman. And to me, that is where the problem lies. The problem lies in he never ever holds women accountable for their actions, regardless. I'm not saying that in every case. I'm not saying that every case needs a woman to be reprimanded, but I'm saying that every situation there's going to be a villain. Expose the villain. If the villain in a situation is a woman, then she is the villain. If the villain in that situation is a man, let him go. But don't content or frame your content in the context that black men are always the problem, that our mindset and our struggles and our thoughts and everything is the problem. Because, as you said earlier in the program, two hands are needed to clap. One hand can't clap, as Natalia said a couple of weeks ago. And that was my problem with him. My problem with him is that he has misled because and we live in an age where content is instantly and immediately consumed. So when women see that, they be like, yes, you're right, boo. And it brings to mind how many relationships women would have broken off at a hint of things they thought they saw. Right? Because Derrick Jaxn got a new queen. And it's funny because what we see as value, like I think everybody values their partner in their own way. Right? And it's funny because I value people in a I am not a how to put this. I am not a person that would I'm not a very expressive person with my words, right? I could say I love you, I could say, I miss you, but in terms of the whole nitty-gritty of it and everything like that, expressing myself is a challenge. However, physically touch, doing stuff, making jokes, that is my way of showing that you're valued, having conversations. And because people will look at me, he will go and say something like, if he doesn't want to communicate with you, if he has problems speaking to you, if he can't speak life into you, he is not valuing you. That is BS because another man might be out there working 9 to 5, doing another job, hustling hard to make sure she and the kids are fine, affording trips all over the world. But because he don't say I love you, or he is not buying diamond rings or anything like that, he doesn't value you, and that's the problem. A lot of women got into this school of thought, like, yeah, he ain't valuing me. If he'd really value me, he would buy me flowers every day. He would take me to dinner, to brunch. The man got a different grind and hustle, and his concept of value is putting food on the table and bring you to put food on the table or supporting you in what you do. I don't know, but the man really, really, really. I am glad though tie up my little rant here in the bowl. I am glad though that based on what we have seen from the women here in Barbados and the people that we know and people that have tuned in here and on your Facebook page, they have seen that wolf in sheep's clothing. So it's not it's like we don't I don't seem to know any woman that would have been like, yeah, boy, I used to follow this my advice religiously and yeah.
There are
Yeah,
some
whoa.
there. There are
Oh,
some
no
there.
doubt. No doubt.
And
No doubt.
let me speak to what you would have said a couple minutes ago, in terms of, you know, besides the coin, both sides of the coin, and acknowledging that, you know, accountability. I think that was
Mm.
what was missing throughout this whole thing. Derrick Jaxn never held women in particular accountable within the relationship. It was always men in this, men in that. You are a queen, but don't forget your crown is the name of his book or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Rock
yeah,
your
yeah.
crown, you know, roll with your crown. You're a queen. You are on a pedestal. Enabled women to approach situations with this, but yeah, I can do bad all by myself. I don't need a man in my life, especially if he ain't doing X, Y, Z. This dude is a man that asks his, well, current girlfriend, we can say current girlfriend for this distinction purposes. He asked her what uh, perfume it is she was wearing, right? She told him. He bought her one as a gift. But uh, dude was so, let's say, unsmooth that she still managed to see the receipt for this purchase. And she saw that he had bought 2 bottles of this thing. Why? Because he probably bought a bottle for his wife. So when he
And that is
goes,
how he justified it in his mind.
you know what I
Or
mean?
or or he may have been ultra smooth. The man might say whenever the outside woman and she rubbing up for me and smelling like this cologne and they come home, the wife can be like,
Exactly. It's the
smell
wife's
it, what you buy?
fragrance.
You smell it. Yeah, exactly.
It's the
Yeah.
wife's fragrance. You know what I mean?
Insane.
And just you can't go down this road of, yeah, I am the standard, because a lot of women felt like he was the standard for black men. If you watch the video that we showed at the beginning, I think we may have to show that over now that we got a little bit more, a few more people in the chat. If you watch that video, the lady at the end of the video says, "Hey, he was the standard. He's the, I want to
Yeah,
marry
yeah, yeah,
somebody.
yeah.
I want a man like Derrick Jaxn."
Yeah.
6'5", swole, handsome guy, tall, dark, and handsome.
God
Is
fearing,
is
God
a
fearing.
God fearing guy. But here's the thing: is he really a God fearing guy? Because, you know, based on what we see here, we really got to call that into question, because we understand that the wife is very God fearing. Is it a case of this dude is really a calm man who's like, shoot, my wife's love language is God and Scripture. That's what I'm going to use to manipulate her in this particular situation. But this is the same guy who would sit in his vehicle outside his outside woman's job and essentially pleasure himself while he waited for her in his vehicle outside this woman's workplace. You know
Wait,
what I
wait,
mean?
wait. You said pleasure. You mean pleasure himself by recording videos, like stroking his ego, or
He
you
was
mean, or
stroking,
you?
and Beyonce calls it the ego, so we could call it that. Yeah, so let's call it that. He was stroking his ego
I
outside
probably
outside her
I'll be
workplace.
probably on tilt.
You know what I mean? Um, he got physically aggressive with the girl, you know, and stuff like that. So you essentially transform from that person into the person who goes on stage and preaches and stuff like that, and you know you holding your wife hand and you're all or no weapon formed against me shall prosper and all that stuff. And even while you're doing that, you're still trying to peddle this stuff to women. Why? Why? Why did you get married in the first place?
But here's the
Why
joke
are you
to that.
staying married? But I know the question to those, the answer to those, because I believe he got
Mhm.
married because it's a good look. It ain't a good look that you was a big Christian dude and you got two children out of wedlock as I think he may be a pastor. You got two children out of wedlock with a very God-fearing woman, and they suspect that she was bankrolling him, as they said earlier on. And why you
then
say married no?
it,
Because
mhm.
apparently in Atlanta, Georgia, she would be entitled to 100% of his assets should they go to divorce court. And then everything too would have to come out if he had to take the stand, or these girls had to come on the stand. He would lose everything. He would get the wife would get 100% of the assets, and he would get 100% of the debt. So he'd be paying for houses that he does not live in. So I understand why he would be coming on a platform, coming on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that, doing apology videos, trying to hold the wife's hand and all that. I get it. I understand it. Because there's so much that he would have to sacrifice if this thing went to court.
You know, so there's so many schools of thought here, but I can take this to another direction. No. When I first saw that video, again, I was very late to the party. I was catching up after Tuesday's show of the Senate, and I was watching the video, and as I was watching the video, and I was seeing the supplementary videos surrounding it, I was like, this reminded me of Jay-Z and Beyonce when I think it was 2017 or 2018, he had his very public indiscretion. You spoke about it on Tuesday about Beyonce's sister Solange doing the karate chops and whatever. Becky with the good hair and all that there. But, a mutual friend of ours, Justin Clark, he would have mentioned it on Facebook saying that there are parallels to Will and Jada or Jay-Z and
Yes.
Beyonce. And, there's a saying. What's he saying? The saying is never waste a good scandal or never waste a
Yeah.
good crisis or that. Right.
Yeah. Never waste a
And
good crisis.
right. But you see with Jay-Z, right? I think they did the work to address it privately. It comes over again. We are looking from the outside looking in, right? And we have no real motive to we can't speak for them or we can't swear for them or discredit them. The point is, it seems like when they released their albums and they made a lot of money off of those albums, it seemed like they did the work genuinely to repair what they had lost. And yes, we spoke about, Beyonce ain't gonna leave a billionaire to go and date a man that got $10 million, a backup dancer or whatever, right? But to be honest, it seems from the outside looking in that it was a very genuine process of healing, of repairing, of keeping their family together and assets together, right?
Not
And
only
then they
genuine, Neil, but private.
private, exactly.
Private.
Somebody mentioned it earlier about doing it privately. I feel as though, again, based on how he frames it, the wife knows all of the indiscretions. They've worked through it. They have gone and done their therapy, their counseling, seeking. They have sought spiritual guidance and everything like that, and that's fine. But within Jay-Z's context, and we can make a case that Jay-Z has more to lose than Derrick Jaxn, but in Jay-Z's case, Jay-Z made a conscious effort to stop his infidelity, or if he has not stopped his infidelity, he has made some type of arrangement with Beyonce with regards to how that goes. I mean, I would hope to believe that Jay-Z is really committed to his relationship. With Derrick Jaxn, I feel as though even though he would have, as you say the right things and gone through the healing and kind of parrot the things that his wife would be saying, he still carries on, at the slightest opportunity, right? And I agree with you completely. I feel it comes over very disgusting and disingenuous that in the middle of you apologizing or exposing yourself in terms of this scandal, you're selling your book. Like, yo, if I had to publicly apologize for something that I have done, that ain't no time to sell nothing. That ain't no time to plug nothing. That ain't no time to promote nothing. That is like, yo, this is what I did. Look at my man Kobe, right?
Correct.
Rest in peace,
Correct.
Kobe. My man Kobe, yeah. Yes, he hugged up Natalia hand, not Natalia,
Vanessa.
Vanessa hand, Vanessa back and everything like that. And you can see that Kobe was like, yo, I messed up.
Yeah.
And I don't believe he was thinking about his assets. I think he was just thinking literally, look, I love this woman. This woman is thing, and I made a mistake. Um, and
You can
that's what
see
you want. You
the
want accountability.
contrition and the embarrassment on his face too when he was
Yes,
giving his apology. You know what I mean?
Derrick. Face
And
is the same straight
I,
throw.
yeah, and I heard recently again, and I guess it's different because Derrick Jaxn is a guy who's on camera more often than not these days, right?
Right.
But again, when you look at I heard very recently, you should always beware people who are trying to sell you something. Always beware people who are trying to sell you something. And the fact that this guy is trying to peddle a book in the middle of a personal crisis, a family crisis, because this is a crisis. The wife admitted, yeah, she knew about this stuff even before they got married. They were together from college. She's known about this kind of stuff all along. This is saying to us, people, you cannot fix private matters publicly, or rather, you should not attempt to repair private injuries publicly. That's just a bad, because we do not have to know all your business. We should not really be up in all your business. You know what I mean? Come out, apologize to your wife genuinely for the embarrassment and the hurt that you caused. Apologize to your fan base if you feel that that's the time to do that, and leave it there. That statement could have been 2 minutes long. As a
Shoot.
shoot,
And it
the
just need to
royal
include his
family,
wife.
the royal family offend a whole set of black people. I mean, from here going back 400 years, and the Queen's statement about diversity and racism, 4 or 5 sentences at best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why do
He,
you feel the need
yeah.
to go into so much talk and drilling down in detail? Why?
Because
Because you're
this comes
still trying to make money.
and I do believe too is a bit of narcissism, as somebody said earlier. I think it was Dion. I may be wrong, but I do think that's a bit of narcissism as well, right? Because doing this type of thing, having been in front, behind the camera, having had successes on both sides, this can really feed into you and give you your sense of validation and give you that sense of, yeah, I am known. People stopping you in the street and women checking me or people buying my book, you looking at your sales or whatever. It can be addictive, sorry. So when you look at that and you say, like, for me, even though I am on this platform, I am a very private person within my life genuinely. Yes, I put myself out here, and I remember we having conversations before we started this because I was fearful of putting myself out there. Because obviously, if you have this type of platform, I understand you have to have a certain level of transparency when it comes to you dispensing advice, you dispensing experience. You can't come and give people half the story. You will come and say, look, you know what? I have made my mistake and I am trying to be better. So having said that, I just feel as though, you know, he I don't I just he has to love it. He has to love I mean, he's 6'5" and he's swole. Man in a balake dude, man carries himself a particular type of way. He is attractive to women. Therefore, in front of the camera, he's very charismatic. He speaks very well. He seems to think quickly, and seems to be adaptable and interchangeable in any situation or setting. He could look good in a suit. He could look good in a track pants. He could look good in basketball shorts. Um, so when you have that type of individual and a person that is willing to put themselves out there, like, shoot, you think if I got a problem with a woman that wasn't going to see it? You think for every week. And I don't know. You all of a sudden hear Neil Hoyt. I don't know how or where you can hear it, but somebody come and say, well, he talking about infidelity, but he do this to me, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, right? Now, if you want to hold on to that and use that as a discreditation of what I'm saying and everything, that is, I can come on and they can say, look, if I feel moved to make this kind of statement, I may say, look, if anybody is disappointed, I am sorry. This is something that has happened. I have never ever, because every episode we have had of this podcast, whether we're talking about social media, relationships, communication, whatever we are talking about, I hold myself accountable. I know full well all of the things we've talked about, I have done.
Yeah.
I have done.
Same here.
You
Same here.
You understand? A woman. We talked about a woman's body weight, and everything like that. I got some women. They're not my type, and it's not only about aesthetics for me. It's about health. It is about longevity. It's about a whole host of different things. So when I tell you, I ain't saying, shoot, man shouldn't cheat, boy. I'm mad at cheat. It's a disgusting kind of man. You gotta be faithful and loyal. I ain't saying that. If you want to do the silhouette challenge, you shouldn't get upset. I ain't telling you that. I can tell you how to go about it. I can tell you what makes sense within the context of it. But every week I hold myself accountable and I let people know up front that, yo, these are mistakes I make. These are things. Every episode I say struggle with communication. Yeah, but I can still tell people it's important, that communication is very important in a relationship, because I know where I have a relationship, right? So I can only think that he loves it. He loves the spotlight. You can say it's a bit of a con artist or whatever, but to me, it's like the way he has put out all of this content surrounding this scandal, where he has put out the response video to the response video with his wife to the scandal is completely disgusting, because regardless of third person or first person dialogue or whatever, my man is almost like saying, well, my man cheated or whatever, but he never ever proposed. And, he said this in his book and he's an author, and at least his wife, what he is saying here, he's not seeing a man holding him. He's seeing his wife supporting him. And he's even in that response elevating his wife. When in previous videos, if it were somebody completely different, he would have been saying things like, yo, you need to leave that joker. He ain't
Exactly.
No,
keep the same energy.
Same energy, and that's keep the same energy, right? Yes, y'all see me in public, and y'all, people stop me and say, "Yeah, look in that podcast here and there, I like the work you're doing or whatever," right? But I am a private person. When I don't know, shoot, they got people that recently find out things about me and my past relationships that they was like, "Yeah, why you know here this person then? But why ain't get on social media always me? I just come to and no, I just there's certain levels of attention I just don't want, and I don't want people in my business. I hate people in my business. I hate it because it is my business."
The thing about it is, you still don't want to be beating people over the head with a stick, saying, I am this, I am that, and on the other side of it, saying, yeah, a man that don't do X or Y is trash, or the guy who's doing A, B, C, D is trash. You are doing all of A, B, C, D, not doing X, Y, Z, and you're best to profit from it. Let me just go in the comment section a little bit. We got Ramo born. We got Ramo first time, I believe. He's saying you should watch the BBC. That way you don't get the bias. Straight in the middle.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, Tony is saying you watch Al Jazeera English. Jackie is saying the women are the ones buying the book and giving him all the clicks. Yes, ladies, please stop listening to these guys who tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes you might have to listen to somebody who gives you the uncomfortable truth. And
I got a bunch of them.
As we say, the unsexy conversation.
Yep.
Because at this point, let's really drill down. Let's really drill down, right? Because Derrick Jaxn now has broken down his woman. I believe that's what it is. That he's reduced her to, because I saw some pictures of this lady looking really fine and stuff like that. But then I saw her in combat gear the other day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I picked a combat gear. He brought her on TV, on camera just not too long ago. No makeup, no nothing. A time on her head,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And it was like, okay, girlfriend, guess she didn't get ready, get dressed up for this. Um, and I don't want to say reduced, but brought her to that. And then goes out on the other hand and check his hot to trot things. I mean, we didn't see the third lady, the surgeon,
You
but
know
we
what
see
it look
the
like.
pics of the Lanai girl and the Candice girl. They very close to that Instagram model look that you see. You know what I mean? So you got your wife at home looking one way, and then you chasing down chicks that look some like diametrically opposed. You know what I mean? So please, people, you really got to be mindful of the people who are selling you this stuff, right? Steve says, like Keita said, relationship goals seems to be the norm for people slash couples they see on the internet. Never once have I seen people have everyday regular people issues. Oh boy, my thing is stuck again.
Especially
These
on
people
social
all
media.
Yeah, these people always happy. Life is also always going great, and that is a fact.
Uh,
Social media is not a real place. People present what they want you to see. Dion says, I just want y'all to know he and the wife were together for 12 years. He's already 14. He's admitted to cheating throughout the whole 12 years, meaning when he started his podcast, he knew who he was already. Put that in perspective. So the man's a charlatan. Really, that's what it is. He found a way to make money off of
monetize.
the and monetize the insecurities of black women predominantly.
That's,
And
and the thing is, if I were a black woman, I'd be so pissed, yo. I'd be so pissed because they're the most vulnerable here. As Jackie said, we men ain't buying them books. The
facts.
women who watch the Notebook and who watch, I don't know what movie, Notting Hill and all of these Grey's Anatomy and Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder, all these love. I don't know the movies, but the pictures. But the point is, these women that want the ideal relationship, my mom peddling to that.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And he's found a way to monetize it. He's fed women what they want to hear, and at the expense of the relationships between men and women. And here we are now to come to find out he is essentially now, he has divided people. And as a Christian man, he claims to be, he has broken down relationships. And here we are at this point. Men don't want to deal with women. Men just decided, you know what, women got these lofty and unrealistic expectations of men. Have decided, you know what, make tell men going their own way. They don't want to deal with the women. Women have decided, you know, shoot, I could do bad all by myself. So I saw a clip of the divorce court, and the judge on the divorce court was saying, he asked the woman if she thought the man was just essentially a penis and a paycheck, and she said,
Mm.
yeah. She said, yeah. At least she was bold enough to admit it. But we have Shahrazad Ali. She said way back in the 80s that we have decided that we are going to measure black men by their ability to earn. And if he can't earn, then he has no value. He can do nothing for the black woman. And the hard part about it is earning is probably the hardest thing for men to do. Men don't really earn until they hit the 40, 45, that kind of way. But coming all the way up through life, you know, as a youngster, you scrunting for money. You know what I mean? But we got I can do bad all by myself, and then we got that trope of the dairy of mad black woman. So there seems to be this perpetual or perpetuation of the angry black woman stereotype, pushing that forward, and the people who are benefiting from black women being angry are the people who are selling something. They're selling books, they're selling video, um, they're making money on YouTube. People who are benefiting from
Not
keeping
only know,
black women
because they always
pandering to them. Steve Harvey, no Derrick Jaxn, who is Steve Harvey point, or even worse. You know what I mean? They're peddling this stuff to you, essentially telling you that men in were party shot at, and we or women running with it. Men getting upset. They say, you know, they done with it. Say a war, we left it. I know we just divided.
yeah.
And trying to, and guess what? When you got good, strong interpersonal relationships between men and women, that's when marriage comes up. When marriage comes up, then you bring the households together. Households bring families. Families are the bedrock of society. We are destroying society because they want to do want to make money. Want to do want to make money. Ladies, hold yourselves accountable in your own relationships. Don't let Derrick Jaxn tell you or Steve Harvey think like well it's act like a think like a woman think like a man act like a woman and then
Yes,
it's
yeah,
all wrong. And then it's all wrong. You thinking of acting like a woman.
and
Then
nothing
it's
wrong with that.
all that. You know what I mean?
Men,
Men don't like
men,
men. Point blank. Men don't like men. I, I know for me, I may be old fashioned, but I don't like men that kind of way.
I
You
ain't
know
know
what I
if I
mean?
old fashioned. I just know that what I like is not me. For me to add to that, I would say to yes, women. I want women to hold themselves accountable, and I want men to hold themselves accountable as well. I think that is where the divide can start to coalesce and come back together
And
because
that's the purpose of this
nobody.
channel.
Yep, and that's the purpose of this platform. Because at the end of the day, right? As I keep saying, I can say this. I can try to say this every week, yo. This life ain't easy. This life ain't easy, and I ain't talking about. I talk about before we even start talking about interpersonal relationships. This life ain't easy. When you add in a woman or a man and love and feelings and emotions, and you gotta reconcile that with happily ever after. Like this ain't a rom com. This ain't me and you get up on a plane and fly off into the sunset and the credits roll and or you
Everything
see
done.
like or you see 40 years later, me and you in a rocking chair and children taking care of me. No. Hard flipping work. Hard work. Years of not talking to one another, years of not liking one another, but still honoring the commitment. I ain't telling one to not cheat. I ain't telling, I can say try to not cheat. I can say do your best to not cheat. I can say when you destabilize your safety within a relationship, it's very hard or very challenging to reconnect. But I'm going to say be mindful, be vulnerable with your partner, be understanding that life is hard, yo. You got to water where you live.
Yeah.
You got to water where you live.
Let me dive in the chat here. Tony is saying what this thing also highlights is people's tendency to blindly follow. All it takes is tapping into something they are desperate to believe in. We see it time and time again, and that is exactly what our guy has done because he wants women to believe that they are it.
But you know,
Everything they bring to the table is God's gift, and men should accept whatever it is that's brought to the table. Ramel Mello, he is saying that is the most
wait,
upsetting
wait, wait,
part
wait.
for real.
Hold on a minute, Derek. Hold on a minute, Derek.
Yeah,
Before you go
man.
on, I want to make a comment on Tony's thing. Now, the thing about it is with that about people that lead, people astray or whatever, and people following is that is just human nature. Human nature is to cling to hope, cling to some form or some essence of bigger than them, whether it be God, a deity, love, all of these vague things, these intangible things we believe in. Therefore, when somebody comes and tells them, or as we've been saying, peddling, and comes and says, you know, you need a man to this, that, and next, you need to value yourself and this and that and next. It gives people the hope that they can be better. And it gives people the hope. So unfortunately, the way we are wired as a species, we are wired to always have hope and always try to hold on to things that will be better than our standing or our station in life right now. So a man can come. We heard about the Piper. We see Donald Trump, Swagger. Shoot, what the man name? The man that killed all them people in Jamestown,
Jim
Jimmy.
Jones.
Oh, Jim Jones, right? Like there will always be people that are susceptible, a subsection of society that is susceptible to a leader and a person saying things that gives people a sense of fulfillment, purpose, and hope outside of themselves. I just
Yeah,
felt a need to say that. So
no
continue,
problem.
continue.
Yeah, that is the most upsetting part for real. Like the women were really drinking the Kool-Aid and it was showing. Blair saying facts. Tony says respect the bonnet, sir. That bonnet had a message. By the way, the wife is no slouch. There are hot pics of her IG. That's a fact. Everyone
Yes.
goes with the relaxed look at home. Yeah, but Derrick Jaxn didn't. He got dressed up for the occasion and just brought his wife like, man, you want to shoot this here? Come and shoot this here, man. Man, you go up on that, come out. And that's how it came over. And then he held her hand like if she was getting ready to go the what they call it, the well not the I remember it. The Underground Railroad. Like he thought she was headed for the
She,
Underground
she's
Railroad.
ready to.
Harriet Tubman life, you know what I mean? Then we
Mm-hmm.
got Jackie. Jackie is saying, let us all be honest from the word go, have the hard and pretty conversations, and do what works for us, or just left it out. Yeah, it's easy to say, but I don't think Derrick Jaxn could let it out at this point.
But
It's too
that's
much invested.
yeah. And to add to Jackie's point, no, I agree. I think fundamentally I do agree that you have to have those unsexy conversations. But Jackie, at some point there is going to be so yes, you have a relationship with those unsexy conversations, but at some point your ego is gonna kick in and it's gonna cause you to say, you know what, she said this about me, or she's thinking this, or even your own mind is trying to process things in a negative way of your partner, and it's gonna force you to not have those unpretty conversations or keep the peace, right? And you may find yourself in a situation where I would just say be mindful, have those pretty conversations, and if you don't have those pretty conversations, lean on your commitment and your values within yourself. People make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. If you go to the context of Christianity, no one is without sin. Yeah, no one is without sin, and we may not sin today, we may not have sinned yesterday, but we may sin tomorrow. And sin don't look as infidelity. Sin can be lying, sin can be thought, actions, whatever. So it is important, and I want people to understand. Yes, I quote scriptures or Christianity a lot because that's what we were brought up in, that's what we're raised in, and I do have Christian values. However, I am flawed. So I don't want nobody come and tell me, oh, he's a Christian man, he's a Jesus man, and look, he doing this or he has done
Because that is the exact situation that this guy is
that.
in
There,
right now.
exactly, right? So it is all about being mindful, consistency, and being mindful. Yes, you may slip up. Inevitably, you can slip up. Just got to hold fast, stay the course. And if you know within yourself, or you and your partner can't stay the course, and it get to a point, then you all will make that decision. But at the end of the day, it is a process. Life, relationships, this whole process, there ain't a book written. I know people like to say the Bible is an instruction manual for life, but even that is left up to interpretation and the translation with which it was written in and that kind of stuff. The point is we have all of these different sources of how to be righteous and how to live a peaceful and loving life. Just shop, window shop, taking the good and the bad. I listen to some content that some of my friends wonder, man, what are you listening to that for? Why would you listen to that? But I listen to it because I want the other side. I remember one time with this whole Trump thing, I was watching Fox News a lot. Why are you watching Fox News? Why would you watch Fox News? Fox News is this, that, and that. I said, because I mainly watch CNN, because I don't think I have Al Jazeera on my cable. So the easiest thing is CNN. So if I'm watching CNN, that telling me about the shining examples of the Democrats, and the poor leadership of the Republicans, I gotta get a balance because history is often written not by those who triumphed fairly. History is written by the victors. So I just that's just me. I need balance to listen to things objectively and say, all right, that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Or all right, part of that makes sense. You shop, and you put the things in your basket. What I shop for you might not shop for as a man,
Correct.
Derek.
Correct.
Simple. You may
It's like a
pick up
menu.
bread. Yeah.
You look at the menu and you take that which applies to you. You can't eat everything. You know what I mean?
No.
Renee is saying the problem really is that we don't see people as human first. If you're a priest, you're human first. I remember a friend of mine said, um, you're a man of God." And notice that the man part comes first.
Yeah.
If you're a marriage counselor, you're a human first. Teacher, doctor, lawyer, carpenter, regardless, man or woman first. And
Right.
then she says, and therefore subject to weaknesses and temptations and have flaws.
Um.
Dion, it said exactly this. Today, we tend to assume money makes character or changes people in these righteous beings. Into, I assume, these righteous beings. And that is far from the truth. Far, 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 far from the truth. I really feel like this whole situation, because men across the world celebrated when this kind of touchdown on Sunday night.
I was
Um,
upset. I was
so
upset.
men celebrated. They called Derrick Jaxn the last boss in the king the simp world. That last boss that you got to beat to finish the game. Um, he's he's the king of the simps. They call him that
Mm,
last boss at the end, and they celebrated that he had fallen. Um,
mm.
the only challenge here is the damage already done, as Anthony B said. You know what I mean? The
Big
the,
trap. Big
the,
trap.
the divide is already wide and widening and has been widened by him, and in large part by him and people who are peddling that. You know what I mean? Um, see, chat going bad. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so you really need to be accountable. I think accountability is the word that we coming back to a lot, both men and women. Um, I know sometimes it's difficult to look at that mirror image and really say, yeah, you're doing junk here. But sometimes you gotta look at it and say, yeah, all right, yeah, that's my bad. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I ain't gonna lie to you, Derek boy. The hard times that I've made mistakes in my life, that I will brush my teeth and not look at my face in the mirror. Be I will pass the mirror like a stranger in the night. Like serious, when like people don't understand, yo. Like for me, I hold myself to a certain standard and I hold myself accountable. And the moment that I mess up, and I ain't only talking about infidelity, like there are things you do or haven't done for your partner, for yourself, in your job. Like there's several different things. And when you hold yourself accountable, I look myself in the mirror. I literally have gone not looking myself in the mirror, dog. Brushing my teeth over the toilet. I look at the sink, mirror will be sick, dog. Brush my teeth in the shower. Can't look at yourself. Let me go back into the comments here, Dion. Thank you, Dwayne. Tell me what's in philosophy. Tony, but what kind of human are you? Are you a good human, or are you a dirt human at the core? Some may argue that's subjective. Is there right and wrong? I mean, I try to live. I try to live by the values I was raised on, and my values that I was raised on are Christian of a Christian denomination. So, um, Dion saying more often than not, money just enhances tendencies that already exist, whether good or bad. Fact
Facts.
on.
Facts.
Money
Colin
is
Cowherd will tell
money
you
is an
money is
enabler.
jet fuel for the ego.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The simp is dead, says Ramel Marshall, Lord Simp. I jump out for sure. Well, as I said, Ramel, I was like, at first I was like, oh snap, but then I was like, yo, this ain't a good look for black men. This
At
is,
all.
this is, this is, this
Because
is.
check it, right? He had his wife for 14 years, got married in 2018. And by 2019, horrors was pelting. And by 2020, they were separated. If this dude, 6'5", swole, got some money, good looking guy, got Christian wife at home with 2 children, if he can't make this thing work,
The
and the
rest of me
women
out
love
to
he, I
me
mean,
out. Yo,
what is the hope for the average black man like me or you? You know what I
out to
mean?
out to sea. Blair is saying Darcimpius has fallen. I laughed till my belly hurt. Yeah, I ain't laugh. I was like, I actually took a few days because when I first saw it, y'all had put it in the chat and I was like, I ain't really know if I'm feeling this, you know. I was like, oh snap, but then I was like, I don't know. But then when I watched it and stuff like that, you know, I was like, this is because I can actually see some women saying, see when a black man, but shoot, if you're Messiah and Derrick Jaxn could do what he do, they don't work for you. But
Exactly.
you're on a platform and like you ain't selling a relationship advice nor name.
And that's
So
the thing, Neil. He essentially told women across the world to pardon the French that black men ain't shit. And then he turns around, like the meme that I found hilarious is the Fred from Scooby Doo unmask him and he turns out to be Future. You know what I mean? So
the gospel according to future.
the gospel according to Future, he turns out to be Future. You know what I mean? I found that hilarious, but
Sensational.
or again, it's sensational. Again, the damage is already done. You know, the damage is already done. We've already been divided, which and they already gave you that trickle down effect, how that works. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, Blair saying he been making black men look bad, so I'm glad he done. Romel no, they loved who he pretended to be. Beyonce, more importantly, it continues to push the narrative how other races see black families.
On
Renee,
facts, because it's messy as hell.
exactly, exactly. But are you guys looking for the kind of women who listening to social media life advice? It depends on who's giving the advice, Renee.
Yeah. It is a kind of Dre to say, yeah, I mean,
Because
people,
you know
again,
it's really interesting. I've taken in content from shows like The Real. As you say, you know, you get both sides of the argument. I've also taken in um, some stuff for the manosphere, so the Crimson Capsule life. I've taken in some of that content as well, trying to find a balance. I forgot was what. I've listened to some guys that are way out there, that real hard line. Um, and some of that stuff I gotta take with a pinch of salt because
yeah, kind of
it
hard.
just can't work because there still needs to be a balance. So you look at a guy like, say, for example, Alpha Male Strategies, real hard line, real hardcore. So it will take pinches of that. But then when I see some of the stuff that's peddled on, as I mentioned earlier, the real, I'm like, what drivel is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For example, Jeannie Mai. I think in one episode, Jeannie Mai was talking about her going into her marriage with Young Jeezy.
Mm,
This is her
yeah.
second marriage, by the way, right?
Mm,
And she was talking about the whole issue of submission and all that. And the other women on the panel, Lonnie Love, Adrienne, something. I think she's married to Israel Houghton, a gospel artist, and
mm.
Garcelle Beauvais. Anybody knowing that name would know Garcelle Beauvais as Fancy from Jamie Foxx show, right?
Oh, okay.
Good. These women were disgusted at the thought of Jeannie Mai, a successful woman, submitting to her husband, right? Completely disgusted at that thought, even the idea of it. But what I found particularly hilarious would be Adrienne saying essentially that the Bible was irrelevant in within the context of marriage and relationships today. You know why that was so hilarious to me? Because Adrienne is married to a gospel artist. Adrienne was married in a church. Yet and still, she figures and believes, and she said this, that the Bible is irrelevant within the context of a man-woman relationship. So, guys, really have to be mindful of some of the stuff that you consume and how you use the stuff that you get. Because as Blair is saying here, it's balance. Balance is key. You know. Let's see what else we got here. We got Natasha. All right, Natasha, welcome. I caught a couple of his videos long before and it was turned off about how he talked about men. I couldn't understand how he had such a big following. He has a big following because he's buying into the angry black woman trope, that narrative, and he's pushing that along and getting money from it. You tell women, hey, what they want to hear, men ain't shit. Okay, men ain't shit, but are you, as a woman, how about you? How maybe you ain't shit either.
Are you without sin? Are you without your flaws and issues?
The man might not be shit, but you might not be shit either. You might be an ain't shit woman.
Right then.
So it requires everybody to kind of look at themselves and say, hey, you know what? I have my own part to play, my own responsibility. That's why the question was on Monday. Do you feel partly responsible if there's some cheating going on or whatever? Everybody has a part to play within the relationship in its success and its demise.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because we approaching 2 hour mark, so I think that's a nice place to kind of a nice number to wrap up. Dion is saying, I didn't know this was a thing, got me beat so bad. Ramel Marshall, I don't know. Oh, Tottenham, okay. Natasha, you touched on her. Ramel saying the women never heard of him until yesterday. That's Renee. Dion, Adrienne also doesn't wash her hands after using the bathroom. She can't tell me nothing. Yeah, I remember. I know who he thought. Oh no, she's an idiot. Renee is saying exactly. Dion, Natalia, correct. My man Dwayne, the worldview of these celebrities, even in the gospel arena, is not the worldview we grew up on. Many of the lifestyles of even the Christian artists leave a lot to be desired because of money. I'm telling you all, you can grow up. Trust me. I mean, I don't even know if I get $1 billion how I can act. I can try to act like how I am now. I can try not to wild out, but the sad reality is that when you get a taste of success, especially monetary success and the taste for finer things, because money can come. Well, shoot, I was a poor boy from a third world country. All of a sudden, I got $1 billion and I am Monaco, got my behind on some supermodel or something like that. Well, shoot, I may do some stupid things too. I am human. That's what I'm saying. And money, you have to be mindful. So to Dwayne's point, when money come in, you have to be. It's almost like you have to get the money. You have to look at the money and say, "Yo, remember who you are." And every step of the way, remember who you are. Because when you forget who you are in any given moment with $1 billion, shoot.
But Neil, I actually think it's the other way around. I think you actually have to forget who you are a little bit, right? And I'm going to say that within the context of your circle, because you get money. And a friend of mine told me this years ago, and I thought it's only as I got older that I realized, there's a lot of sense in this. The more money you get, the more your circle and your friends change.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. You do stuff differently. You go different places. You eat differently. Things change around you. And I think some people need to have better people around them. If Derrick Jaxn asked some people around him to say, yo, this ain't a good look for you. So even if it was somebody who was just invested in him from a financial point of view, they would say, you know what, you messing with it, you tricking with these girls, but if you get caught, they can hit your bank account, left it out.
No, hit on something that is so about the people around you, right? Because it is also very important you have to have people in your life, whether it is a friend, a family member, a therapist, whomever, that you confide everything in, because that person has to hold you accountable. Because let's be honest, Derrick Jaxn might be portraying to his friends and his boys or whatever that he has a wife and everything going good and he's the modicum of decency in the black community. He's the shining example and on the pinnacle of black men, right? And you know, for example, we have spaces as men, right? Where for me, I have male friends that know everything about me. Yeah. I have some female friends that know a great deal about me. I have family members that know a great deal about me. And that is important because at the end of the day, when you make a mistake and you are seeking guidance, you are seeking another opinion, whatever you're seeking, they can say, yo. And it is also important not to have yes people around you because you need to have
Amen.
those to say, brother man, you see what you're doing? You need to look at it this way, or you need to not do that, or you need to whatever. Because when you got, for example, some men have male friends that say, well, shoot, with the standard is to horn your wife, though. Shoot,
Yep.
you know, I horn my wife, you horn my wife, we horn my wife. So how who we horning with tonight
We
and
all
this
horn
and that and the
together.
next. Exactly. But at least you need at least one voice in there to say, well, fellas,
Come back.
and of that, I know of that kind of vibe. You know what I mean? If the person decides to take that and say, well, shoot, I need to be better, or decide to live his life, that's his right. The point is that when you surround yourself with yes people, and we see it a lot in sports as two sports fans, we see it a lot in sports. You got a lot of men, lot of yes men. Yeah, man, what you doing here wrong? Yeah, sure, you should do this. As a matter of fact, yeah, tell management that you want that trade though, cause they may playing you, and you lose out on opportunities, on money, on respect, reputation. You understand what I mean? So you need to have that balance of people around you that are objective or can be objective and that know you well enough and know your situations well enough that they can speak with a level of conviction when they are trying to advise and guide you.
Yeah,
So
I'll add to that, Neil, just to say a little bit of an anecdote. Mary J. Blige fired her sister, her mother, for her twin party because they enabled her drug habits early in her career. And she felt, hey, I am not going to be successful if I have you guys around me. And she fired them. And that's her sister mother.
yep,
Just saying. Get better
yep,
people around
yep. That's fact and fact. Let me read it, some of the comments before we go. The real, let me see, right. So Blair was responding with show the real. I
you.
guess they're just going to speak about whatever.
Real
Reality
trash.
shows like the Real Housewives of nonsense. Um, Amen. Yes, people are not a good choice. Agreed, Neil from Blair. The kiss ass. Oh, this is a live podcast. Um, so yeah. So basically, people, what we are saying is with Renee now chiming in. It means that as Black parents, aunts, uncles, elders, godparents, teachers, etc., we need to try to change the narrative for the future. Men like you guys have to teach your sons how to respect themselves and their partners, and how to nurture and value. Sorry, I just had to hit see more. Value healthy, stable relationships. And we also have to teach our daughters to be assertive but not abusive, and how to love themselves and how they're worth not at the expense of belittling others. We also need to impress upon them that when relationships end, they don't visit their hurt. I agree with that. Renee, I completely 1000% agree with you. But you see that whole laundry list of things you do? That's hard. I got a son, Derek got a daughter, and we have both had conversations about what we have to teach our children, as adults, as people, and what we have to teach them based on their gender, right? And yo, it is a heavy, heavy burden, but you are right. You have to do it. You have to have a village. I spoke about this today. You need a village to raise. It takes a village. You really need to lean on the village. And yeah, you gotta try. You know, saying I know you gotta try, and that's all you could do. The point is that we are in a bad state
Yeah,
in
and I think the
relationships.
people that know better need to do better. I got a partner might tell you the problem with society is that people who know rely on people who don't know to recognize that they don't know. People that don't know will never recognize that they don't know. And it's you that people that are in position that know better and know how to do better need to do better.
And the sad reality is, me and Derek can be out here teaching we children what to do, what not to do within the context of life and relationships and love and work and all these things. And I got people out there that ain't checking for the children though. But our children still got to interact and go to school
Yep.
with these. And we got hope that our values that we instill in them when they're when they're tempted with the opportunity to be uh, encouraged or what's the word, led astray,
Influenced.
influenced. Jesus, I can't remember that word just so. And there's a temptation to be influenced by these other parties. We got hope that what we do ring true. Like literally, uh, my son's mother and I, we taught our son to the point where he's at the point where he can verbalize and he can express his frustrations and always hearing the same things. You know what I mean? But we can't let up. We
You
cannot let
can't.
up.
You can't. Renee saying, and it's not that we didn't make some of these same mistakes, because we did. I sure did. But as you said, Derek, when we learn better, we have to do better. And that is a fact.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much again for a very encouraging and engaging conversation. Again, we're trying out a little thing with this Thursday. We actually got a good set of responses and things. And we're thinking about what we're going to put on Tuesday versus what we're going to put on Thursday because we don't want to put the same content. So we kind of trying to decide how we can go about if we can do like Thursdays being about stories around the internet and celebrities and that kind of thing, and kind of weave that into some of the topics we would have talked about or that we talk about before. It's not just gossip. We want, yes, we might kiki and ha ha some of these misfortunes of some of these celebrities and stories, but at the end of the day, we still want to bring it home into, you know, a self, a context of self. So, you know, I don't know if Derek, you have anything to say. I know you normally do the normal sign off.
Yeah, I just want us to all strive to, you know, be better and do better and look at yourself and hold yourself accountable, hold your partners accountable, and not be led astray by the charlatans out there that essentially come into benefit financially from your hurts and pains and stuff like that. And that stuff is unique to you. Those people that are trying to profit from that, they don't have your. You gotta think for yourself. You gotta do for yourself. Reason out stuff for yourself. So, having said that, we can take a little sign off and just encourage you all to be the best version of yourself for you.
Amen. And thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you on
Oh,
Tuesday.
before we go, Neil, just making sure that everybody just likes the page, joins the Facebook page and stuff like that. Follow us, and hopefully we'll be able to transition to putting everything in this one spot so we can all come here, as opposed to me having to funnel people from my page over here. So yeah, just follow, subscribe, all those great things. Because we got the YouTube page as well.
Yeah, man. So everybody keep good. Enjoy your weekend. And Tuesday, 7:45 Facebook. We can be back again for the Senate. Peace and love. Later, Derek.
Laters.